Hello everybody, this is CJ Wiley with more adventures on the road. This video is going out to my friends at SPM, and they wanted me to do a little video about aiming and cue ball control and some of the things that I've learned from a lot of mentors that I was fortunate enough to travel with, like Omaha John and Junior Weldon Rogers, Rusty Brandemeyer. They were all great players, and like Omaha John, for instance, was one of the best unknown barroom players in the country. He ended up winning the Miller Lite World Series of Tavern Pool, which was $25,000 for first. I think he beat Alan Hopkins and a few super, elite players. And one day I was talking to him about aiming. I was like 18 years old, and I said, "John, what is the secret to aiming?" And he said, "There's no real secret." He says, "I just use Kentucky windage." And I was like, "Kentucky windage? What is that?" He said, "Well, it's a term they use with shooting rifles, that if you're shooting low to the right, you got to aim higher to the left. If you're hitting high to the left, you need to aim lower to the right." So it's basically a calibration. And the only way that this really works and is the most effective is you have to be standing the same relative to each shot, or those little subtle changes won't really matter that much. Like if you're shooting a particular shot that you're having trouble with and you keep undercutting it, but you don't realize that every time you're practicing the shot, your left foot's at a little bit different angle, or your body positions are changing slightly. See, that changes the calibration, because you can't make subtle changes if you're not in the same starting position every time. It's like shooting a free throw. If you're shooting a free throw, you put your feet in position on the free throw line, you put the ball up in front of you, and you shoot the shot. And if you're a little bit short, you would want to shoot a little bit harder, but you got to start in the same position, because if you started in a position that was further back, then you'd have to throw it even harder to get it to the destination target. And it's the same type thing in pool. Most people don't really have a good starting position. They're starting on the line of the shot, or a contact point, or a ghost ball, and they're trying to walk into that line, put their cue on that line, and then hit that contact point or ghost ball position with the cue ball. This is not what I do at all. That would be way too complicated. And it separates everything, where to play at my level, you have to connect everything. So your starting position needs to be the same every time. Your angle relative to the shot needs to be the same every time. I prefer to target a particular side of the cue ball every time. I don't ever try to hit the center unless I'm slow rolling a ball. And that's pretty much true for the top champion players I've talked with, like Dennis Arcolo. I asked him, I said, "Dennis, do you ever hit the center of the ball?" And he shook his head. He says, "I always hit a little bit of outside English when I'm playing on new cloth with bigger pockets. If I'm playing on slower cloth, like worn cloth, with smaller pockets," he said, he cues the ball slightly to the inside every time. And I do the same thing. I just probably wasn't as good a tournament player as I could have been, because that's usually on new cloth, fast cloth. Pockets are generally a little bit bigger in tournaments than gambling. And so that touch of outside English would have probably been ideal if I was going to be just a tournament player. But I was a money player first, so I cued everything slightly to the inside. Again, no inside English. It's just a perception. When you go down and cue the ball the inside, but you're trained on the center of the object ball, then it angles your cue slightly. So if you're cutting a ball to the right and you go down slightly to the right on the cue ball, but angle the cue to the center of the object ball, then that angle is going to be set up ideally to cut the ball a little bit to the right. So I don't use contact points and ghost balls. What I do is I set up to the object ball the same every time, which is either to the center until I get to an angle that's a half a ball or more, like thinner cut shots than a half a ball. A half a ball is the center of the cue ball to the left edge of the object ball or the right edge of the object ball if you're cutting it to the left. So it's a half a ball angle. At that half ball angle, the same place I start every time is center to edge. So there's only two starting positions, center to center, center to edge, and then from those positions, I angle my cue. There's three different angles. Actually, there's four if you count the starting angle, which is just straight. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you're aligning to the center, when you get to that fourth angle, you'll be pointing almost to the edge of the object ball. So that's the transition point. So if the shot is any thinner than that, you have to start at the center to edge position, and then it's the same four angles. So the straight angle would be center to edge, and then you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you get to the fourth angle off edge, that's as thin as you can cut it. So all of the angles in pool are created with four angles of the cue stick relative to the center to center alignment and center to edge alignment. If this is too complicated at first, I understand. It's not really. It's just different. And once you get this, the game of pool will become very easy to you. I played for, even when I was in teenage years, I would play for hours and make every single shot and have great cue ball control because I was doing what I'm describing to you at a subconscious level. At that time, I didn't know what I was doing exactly. It took me thousands of hours, literally, to figure out how to teach this because it's a package. You know, the stance is a big part of it. Just like any structure, the foundation is one of the most important things. So the foot position is extremely important, and the stroke is extremely important. That's why I developed a super stroke and super stance trainer that I'm now offering at masteringpocketbilliards.com. It speeds up the process and allows you to see, and I give several free videos away that show exactly how to utilize these training devices to get the most benefit. So if you're having trouble with your aiming, I would recommend that you start trying to feel the angle of the cue relative to the center of the cue ball to the center of the object ball, and just start feeling that angle. And it's okay to use too much angle and overcut the shot a few times just to calibrate to get the hang of it. You know, when I'm practicing sometimes I'll shoot a particular shot on purpose and try to undercut it or try to overcut it just to kind of, you know, mix up my programming a little bit, because sometimes we have mental blocks about certain angled shots and we don't realize it. But when you're practicing, you know, a lot of times I'll try to hit a certain side of the pocket. That's also a big advantage when you become a top level player, is being able to target a certain part of the pocket. And that's another thing Omaha John told me was such a big advantage, because he ended up having some health issues with his neck and started playing left-handed. And he never really got his top speed back. And when I asked him why, he said a lot of it was because he couldn't cheat the pocket as well anymore. And cheating the pocket is what I'm talking about, targeting a particular part of the pocket. I divide it into three parts: the inner part of the pocket, the center of the pocket, and the outside. So I call that the three-part pocket system. But anyway, all of these things are important to understand how to play the game at the highest level and get the most feel and touch from your game. So if you want to learn more, go to my YouTube channel. I post a lot of stuff on Facebook, and I'm going to make a series of these type videos too. And I'll get in more and more specifically how to create these angles and make them work for you. Till next time, this is CJ. Hope you're doing well. I'll talk with you soon.